like finally being able to like take a breath and be like, oh my God, like it's coming. See, we can do this. Like that has been really amazing to see. And also that, families done been telling our agencies and other, partners and things like that of like, hey, y'all, this ain't working. What y'all doing here? This ain't working. Like, so it's like that feedback, that ain't new. But what is new is that folks are listening and folks are finally taking action. And so in some of that like repair work of like, you know what, I'm gonna just call for what it is. Girl, I don't know why I'm trying to be all, but it's you're finally seeing the agency walk the walk instead of just talking. And so I appreciate every single person that has like been a part of this approach, that's going to be a part of this approach, that is really like doing the thing, because at this time, y'all, we are walking. And I appreciate that. And so that has been amazing to see.
Thank you, Crystal. And maybe a follow-up question, or this could be a question for both you and Erica. Curious, I know it's still a fairly new approach. Some cohorts really new, some a couple of years, few years in. Um, what outcomes, or like, is there data yet that can be shared, or yeah, just curious about like outcomes of impact that you are seeing either on the local level or larger at the statewide level of how this approach might be impacting families in a positive way.
Krista, you want me to take this one?
Oh, for sure. You got it.
Oh, I love it. It's a great question. I think one of the biggest things that I am surprised to see time and time again is the length that a family is engaged within child welfare. We're averaging at 8 months of engagement with child welfare instead of what we've seen historically year, 2 years, 3 years out of the level of support a family needs to keep their children with them. And we know if a child is removed, there's impact to the child. It really does hit children really hard. We know it's traumatic to have that experience. So the fact that we are really honing in on that in-home work with families and building a whole team around them, including self-sufficiency, so they get the benefits of a team approach versus individual caseworker alone, it is showing 8 months of closure for a family and to be able to move away from the child welfare system, to be able to have a whole system community around them wrapped around so that they are stabilized and child welfare can close. And I think to me, there's nothing higher that speaks to impact when we're talking about families, because we know there are some families that are going to come into those crosshairs of child welfare. And how do we mitigate it so that they aren't having that long-term effect of the child welfare system? Because we know it doesn't always help families to do that. So again, it comes to that team approach, that community approach of what do families need as a whole, and really building in self-sufficiency as being that main person to do that co-case management. And some areas we're thinking about, how do we bring along APD? How do we bring along, because maybe it's a multi-generational family that needs support. So it's really thinking about how do we have this system be able to bend and weave depending on what families need instead of it being our traditional usual caseload through the system. So I think that's the number one data point that we always hone in on. 8 months, huge difference when we think about how we interact with families.
Love that. I also want to just kudos to Erica and Crystal that I'm going rogue and I didn't plan, nor did I give them any indication that I was going to do this. But since we have the hour and have you, I really appreciate you. I did have another question, but also partners, feel free to chime in because this definitely isn't the Catherine show. So anyone, feel free to chime in. A question that I did have is I noticed on the map, I mean, it's mostly filled. There are some counties who aren't yet a part of a cohort. Can I ask about future plans for those other counties?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are starting off slow and steady. We recognized last time we brought on cohort two, we had taken pretty much all that had applied, and that there's good and bad, right? That goes with that. We need sites to try on things. And now that we can slow down enough to really gather how and what do folks need to be able to launch into family preservation, slow and steady. And that is the way that we can build stability for cohort sites to really be able to launch. So we don't actually know how this will play out. Right now, we just have 2 new sites coming on for cohort 3. We don't know. We're learning with them what this slow intentional process looks like. Now that we've built trainings, like Crystal was speaking about the values training, there's actually 2 phases of that. There's an intentional first phase and a second phase of really diving in deep. And what else do folks need? We also even built out like a self-sufficiency guide. What does it mean to apply this approach, right? We're in the middle of building out reflective supervision for staff. How do we build out time, intentional time to work with staff and leaders to know where they're at and what they need, right? So we're building as we learn alongside what do staff need to really build this out. So I don't really have a full answer. We definitely lean in with leadership to help us guide that ship as well, because we do know if we do slow and intentional, it will eventually be statewide. We will eventually have all of Oregon doing this family preservation approach because it's best for families. And how do we do that so that folks feel and get what they need from their family preservation team, from the different sites to learn from? Because we know in Oregon, we have both large areas that have lots of supports and resources, and we have rural areas that really have to travel distance. And so, how do we build that out in each community? I know that's a really long winded answer, and yet, how do you do that so you best support the community? Because each community completely looks different when we apply this approach, and how do we adjust and support sites trying on different ways to apply this approach?
The other thing I would just add to that is, by no means, we is not gatekeepers of this information, any of that. So sites that are not in demonstration, um, absolutely can connect with us. Go to the OWL page, go, like, and we welcome the opportunity to come speak to sites that are not in demonstration about, well, hey, we're not in demonstration, but like we want to try some of these things on. We want to, kind of get the ball rolling type of thing. So we welcome that. And so you ain't got to be in demonstration to try some of these things on.
Love it. Thank you for noting that. I had another question. It's probably specific to District 6 Roseburg, only that's what I know. But I know that in the Roseburg area, one thing that was implemented as part of this approach was a parent advisory council, and I've heard wonderful things about it. And I know that kind of speaking to what you were just saying about how there's a uniqueness to what this approach looks like in each area because each community is different. I don't believe that there is a parent advisory council in each demonstration site. But I was wondering if Jesse or Tressa, if you wanted to share a little bit about what that is and how that has played into your work with this approach. Oh, Jesse, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I haven't had much experience with the Parent Advisory Council. They did come and do kind of a panel and show us exactly who they are. They gave backstory and just kind of told us about their personal stories. And that was so moving. I mean, I was brought to tears several times with different stories. I haven't had a bunch of experience working with them, so I can't really speak to that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. My understanding is that these are parents who have generously, given of their time, who were previously involved with child welfare, but now want to give back, or who want to help to engage the process of what this looks like. And it sounds incredibly impactful. Crystal or Erica or Tress, I'm not sure if you have a bit more information about that.
I do have a little bit more information. So they are very impactful. They offer a lot of insight into what worked while working with the agency, like what the caseworker could do that was something that worked really well to engage the clients, what maybe was not helpful in trying to engage them. But the most important piece is them sharing like when their caseworkers care about them or just check in on them, they will share like, well, my caseworker just reached out to me and asked like this simple question about my day. And that was really meaningful because it showed me they thought about me in other ways than just the case specifically. So they offer a lot of insight into that. A few people on the panel, I've got to work with them in other capacities as well. So they offer just really a lot of depth and insight from a different side of the work that we do that obviously we don't know because we're not a client receiving the services and the supports, and we're not the one having the state come into our household and our family and help plan for the safety in our household. So it really just gives you a different mindset and gets you like an outside the box point of view, which is very helpful in the work you do because it offers a lot of insight that you don't have in the day-to-day work.
Awesome. Thank you. And I see that there is a video. Look at that.
Yes, we just got this shared, and it's so great. It's made from the D6 team and leadership around Parent Advisory Council. So you can definitely click on that and learn a little bit more.
Awesome. Thank you. I saw a hand. I saw another Crystal in the crowd.
Oh, it was me. My name's Crystal too. I was just going to say that a lot of them work in the field now too on child welfare contracts. So they're able to not only provide their story and feedback, but they can take back to the council what's working and what's not currently. And I think that that does support in the moment too with the Proctor projects you guys have going on.
Awesome. Thank you for adding that. Absolutely. And I think I just have one more question or comment.
Can I add one little thing too?
Please.
What's beautiful about Douglas County in particular, D6, is they also share their knowledge about parent council and how they got started and what are some of the lessons they've learned to other sites. And that's what's really beautiful about family preservation teams is they're sharing their knowledge base. In fact, we have like staff who observe their staff meetings and their check-ins together. So I would just add that because I think that's an important part of sharing that knowledge base because maybe parts of that will really work for other sites trying on this work as well.
Love that. Thank you, Erica. One last thought, and then we'll kind of open it up one more time to see if there's any other questions. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for joining. A squirrel moment in the chat. My question or thought was, and again, my knowledge base is also Roseburg, Douglas County. The partner voice within family preservation is something that I find unique. And I'm probably not going to get the name of it correct, but I'll lean on Jesse or Tressa for this. There's like family meetings where partners are also invited into that space to kind of cross collaborate around maybe a particularly challenging situation that a family is going through. And I think of it like a think tank, like partners are invited and they kind of cross reference what resources are available. How can we help? Tressa or Jesse, do you want to speak a little bit more to that?
I think that you're referring to Teams for Families, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, there is a lot of team meetings, but that's the one I assumed you were talking about, and that is a great collaborative meeting to get. So basically, you come and staff the case, and then everybody can kind of give input on like these are the services we can offer, and this is how we can support this specific family. Kind of streamlines the process to get those referrals out faster and help identify all the supports that our community partners can provide in one room. So it's less like to try to find them and get them going. And it's basically more streamlined, makes it happen faster, and then get a lot more input because everybody knows about services they do, but they know about other services as well. So it's adding that all into the room. I've been a part of a couple of them, but Jessie actually attends a lot of them. So she might have more information to add.
Yeah, I think I've been a part of probably a dozen or more. The families can be referred from both child welfare side as well as the self-sufficiency side. And it's just really when we have a family who has multiple needs, and instead of, say, the family coach or the child welfare reaching out to each individual partner and trying to kind of align that family with services from that partner, they're able to get everybody in a room. I mean, I think that there can be anywhere from a dozen to like 20 different partners, as well as the child welfare worker, different members of leadership from the office, as well as the family coach, and we can all kind of come together and just brainstorm all of the needs for this family, and then people just kind of throwing out resources from their particular agencies and helping this family out. It's truly a wonderful thing. And I'm really glad that we have it here in D6.
Really amplified engagement. I mean, I prior to this did community outreach, and trying to find resources sometimes is the most challenging thing when you don't really know and you're asking several partners, but maybe feeling like you're hitting dead ends. So I really appreciate that, like, wraparound amplified support. Check in the chat here. We are discussing the family preservation approach, which is an approach many areas around the state with ODHS are taking between child welfare and SSP to offer that, again, amplified support of families. Yes, that is what we are talking about. We're just about wrapped up. Wanted just to check to see of the crowd if there are any additional questions or comments for our guests here around family preservation. And Sean, I see your comment. I believe that was last month's agenda. We had the YEP program joining us. I apologize, but I do know that our past meetings are available on our YouTube site, and I can try to find that, or if Misha's on the call, I would love if you can also put that in the chat.
He's on vacation.
Oh, a
I'm
different.
on vacation. I can get it in there. Just give me a second.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Cool. Any last questions or thoughts, or even just generally now? Now we're going to open up just in general. We have just a couple minutes, but we can certainly end early if need be. But any other thoughts, comments? Or if you're a partner and you have an event or collaborative something or other going on that you want to take a moment to shout out, we also can offer the opportunity for that too.
Hey there. You said this is open to general questions. Is it all right if I ask a question about the SNAP program?
Go for it.
Great. So I know sorry, I'm Alex with Partners for Hunger Free Oregon. I'm the SNAP policy analyst over there. And I was just curious, with the newly passed federal legislation, there are parts of the law that took effect immediately upon enactment. In particular, the thing I'm thinking about is the refugees and asylees are, at least according to law, no longer eligible for the SNAP program. I was curious if ODHS has heard anything from FNS or gotten a sense of what we can be communicating to those folks that are currently on the program that, at least as the law is written right now, could lose access to SNAP at any point in time, and what we can expect going forward. Thank you.
Great question, Alex. I believe Maria Waters is on the call.
I am here. Yes. So great question. A couple of thoughts. So as of this morning, our federal response team is working really diligently to get some updated talking points for all of you as partners and folks doing this work out. They expect to be released tomorrow. But what I can say is that even though the bill has passed, we don't expect any changes to SNAP or the Oregon Health Plan before 2026. And you will be notified before any changes to benefits or services are made. We know that both SNAP and OHP are really essential. News about possible changes is causing a lot of fear and stress, especially for families who rely on these programs. But again, official talking points and news and information will be released before any changes to plans or benefits occur.
Sorry, do you mind if I throw in a follow-up real quick?
Sure.
Great, thank you. I heard that you said there will be no changes to SNAP eligibility before 2026. I've also heard, though, that some of the waivers that we have that exempt folks from the time limits in Benton, Clackamas, Hood River, Multnomah, Washington, and Yamhill might expire at the end of August, and that those folks might be subject to the new work requirement of September. Is that like conflicting with what you're saying, or like, yeah, where are we at with the waivers?
That's a really great question. I'm going to need to get take that back and get more information. If you wouldn't mind dropping that in the chat or sending me an email, I will work to get that answered and get back to you.
Great questions. Maria, do you mind putting your email in the chat just in case Alex doesn't have that?
Sure, absolutely.
And Candy, I see your hand raised. Go for it.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. I actually have the answer to that last question regarding our waivers for those individuals with an ABOT status. So I can introduce myself. My name is Candy Quintal. I am the program manager for our self-sufficiency program employment and training team. So that includes both the ABOT program, our STEP program, and then also our jobs contracts. So regarding our waiver for individuals with an ABOT status, we are still currently under a waiver until the end of December. However, we were using discretionary exemptions. Those are special exemptions that the states were allocated to make determinations on how we would use those. Part of the last reconciliation bill with FRA, there was some changes made that we weren't able to carry over discretionary exemptions anymore. As a result of that, we made a decision that we're going to use them instead of losing them. And we use them for those entire counties. Unfortunately, we are using them at a faster pace than we thought we were going to. And so we are going to run out of them by the end of August. And that's why we're having to implement those SNAP time limits for those individuals with an ABOT status starting on September 1. And it is in those limited counties, but that information is accurate. And so that's separate from what's going in based on the act that just passed. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Candy. It looks like Alex responded. Thank you in the chat to you too. Candy saves the day, that's for sure. Thank you for being here, Candy. And we're right at time. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. Thank you all for being here. More to come, obviously, with the federal changes. We'll be sharing updates as we can. But again, in the chat, I shared that the webinar is coming up July 22nd and September 30th for the federal response updates. We would love to see you there. I am stalling to re-put it in the chat if I can. And that will also be included though in the minutes. So we'll make sure to get those out within the next week, and be sure to register for those as updates will be shared from the agency level. There it is at that meeting. So thank you all for being here, and we will see you next month. Take care.
Thank you.